And looks like Austin is starting.
Yeah, the problem is Austin has that rack that's going to make the rack glary, so you might not be able to see some of his tiles.
We'll do our
Yeah,
best.
you won't be able to see some of
Yeah.
Austin's tiles, so just let me know what you can't
Is that
see, and
the
I'll relay them as best as I can.
okay? Is that the cafe, right?
Don't announce his racks out loud, Jess. That would be a bit difficult. So okay, so Austin's rack is on the left as we view them, and he is starting. And then Phil, nope, Phil is starting, and he's on the left, and then
Okay. So the first player's rank is on the right again. Okay. So he needs a
so
E
all
for
right,
succeeder, but he's the first player, so too bad.
yep. Oh well. uh,
Probably I'll play Fjord here. Fiord. Or would you play Dorf here? DOF.
um, is wait, who's is he going first, or is the other rack going? The rack on the left going first?
The rack on the
Uh,
right is going first.
okay. Um, probably just Doff, I think.
Interesting.
Uh, if you're gonna play short,
I would think playing Fjord,
or
keeping T is fine too. Scores 26. Yeah, quite decent, and gives a high turnover. Yeah. Huh? Has the rack on the left?
oh right, I reckon the left exchanged, keeping ST.
Okay. Yeah, probably the right.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I mean, if you're gonna play, you play like not. Okay, or ton. Um, so, oh yeah, do you play fetid here? Keeping R if you play long, or I would play. I think I'd play short. I think Doff or maybe of, but
Not of. I think that's overdoing it. Yeah.
but I don't.
Probably
I
Dorf
don't.
or Fjord, or maybe Fatigue. Yeah. Fatigue with the longer spelling, right?
Yeah. Play it as a 6. That would be the would put the consonants next to the colored squares. Um, if you're gonna play long, probably that. But EIRT seems pretty solid. The scores are what, 18? No, 14 for Duff and 28. So you're giving up 14 points.
Yeah. So probably should play the longer one here.
That actually seems about right to play short. Let me actually look it up. It's about a 9-point difference in leave. So yeah, by straight equity, playing long is a 5-point error. Is it worth 5 points in position? Maybe not.
What's the 5-point error?
Looking at the straight equity, the value of the play plus the value of the leave. A lot of players use different definitions for equity. When I talk about equity, I just mean the score plus the leave, not making any positional considerations into account. So So playing Fetid scores 28. It keeps an R that's worth about 2 points in leave, and versus playing Doff for 14. And EIRT is worth about 11 or 12 points of leave. So when you add all those together, Fetid plus R is about 5 points better than Doff plus EIRT. And to calculate the values of the leave, I used the leave evaluator on crosstables.com, which, especially for a full bag, is going to be pretty accurate. Obviously, the values of leave change. The value of the leaf changes depending on what's in the bag and depending on what's available on the board. Like, how can you take advantage of a tile if the board is conducive to a certain tile, it's going to be more valuable. But basically, especially on the opening play, just doing a raw estimation of leave is a useful exercise. And yeah, the leave of tired, TIRED, after of is better. So yeah, if you play short, then of is
Okay, so this Polger
better
seems like the right move here. Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem to work.
Well,
Okay.
Okay, now Phil has a high turnover move. Like he could go for Netizen. That would clear much of his clunky rack of E's and N's.
Yeah, that's interesting because it does slot the V, but it leaves a pretty big opening on the N column next to with putting the E next to the triple letter.
Ah, yes. Knees is much better here.
Yeah, that's that'll be the standout play there. All right. All right. Let's see. Are there any 9s through EO? Asks the chat.
Not playable, I guess. Yeah, not playable.
No. If it was O and if the O and the E were in swapped positions, there would be a 9 available. But that's all. And yeah, that's
V-Theater, yeah. Oh, he has gone for the more open option. Yeah.
Interesting. Austin tends to play more open. He tends to, be more aggressive. He likes to bingo a lot and score a lot of points. So, yeah, it's not surprising that he'll choose the more open, aggressive option. That's just his style of play, and I mean, clearly it seems to work for him. So, yeah, it's if we asked him about the positioning of that after the game, he'd just, he'd probably say, yeah, I wanted to leave more possibilities. The game was still close. Wanted lots of lots of options for the future. So he's fundamentally an optimistic player. He has a tendency to play that way and really bring the game to his opponent and put the challenge on them to make sure their scoring never stops, to use Austin's catchphrase.
Okay, I'm quite sure the scoring will not stop there. Phil can play habitants for the double-double. Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, there's no 9s through EO on Phil's rack. So
really hope he spots a habitant here. There's always ablation or other words. Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff that'll go. There actually is a double available for Phil. So which there was a habitant into the T of vitiator, which is not going to be played.
Oh.
So a bit of a miss, but still got the bonus down. So Phil has a small bingo lead, and both of the bunnies are on the board. The bunny being the blank. It's interesting. In a lot of ways, it feels like the game doesn't actually start until the blanks are played. You can get halfway, 2/3 of the way through the game and the blanks aren't played, and you're like, there's still a lot of scoring left to do. But in this case, blanks are out early, so, one apiece, so they're really not going to be much of a factor in this game, being split and going down early when the board is open for bonuses. All right, so what does one do with these tiles?
Well, you could play World for 30 along row 13. And there's also Wild at row 5, which is a really aggressive move. Wild forming Ale and B.
Ooh. Yeah, that's an interesting play. That's pretty cool. And putting a W in the triple lane is actually not that bad. Your opponent may score 30 back from it, but they're really unlikely to play a bingo through it. So yeah, while and it keeps AL. That's a cool play.
He goes for that.
Excellent. Yeah, and again, the more aggressive move is really the sort of thing that Austin would do. Move tiles, keep scoring, and challenge his opponent to be able to take advantage of openings. If you're putting your opponent on 7 random tiles, you tend to infer that their rack is worse than it would be on average. On average, your opponent has had time to groom their rack and keep good tiles. So immediately after playing a bingo is a time when, in general, you want to consider the pool, of course, but in general, you want to be a bit more aggressive, make openings, especially if you've drawn a decent rack you feel your rack is better than your opponent's, so you want to make more openings, make more opportunities to score while your opponent is dealing with randomness. Obviously, it's
Okay.
really probabilistic, can backfire, but that's a a reasonable principle.
Okay, so I think he's going for Woody, which is the straightforward move here.
Yeah. It's the scoring play that moved some stuff, and since Phil's rack was so bad, like it's a terrible leave, but it scores enough that it's necessary to make that play.
Currently, I'm not seeing any good spots for using the X. Well, he could play Flavin. He could play Flavin to set up the X for the next move, but there's no guarantee he'll get to use it.
Right. There's not. It's reasonable. It'll still be there, but certainly not guaranteed. Just because there's a lot of different places to score, so if you make an opening, it's not assured that your opponent will take it. In the chat, David Eldar suggests instead of playing while, Austin could have played whirl and kept the A for a whirl, making a vertical play on the H column, which also would have been a clever setup to try. So yeah, Flavin. I mean, the sort of normal play, something like Taxi cashes the X, but the leave is pretty bad.
He could play Pav at the top, row 3, Pav forming Veil. Yeah. But that's not very strong, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, after Pav, what are you going to do with the X? ILNX is kind of weird, and the board isn't really X friendly. Also, if you make a play making Veil, you kind of want to keep an A to play a Veil next turn. Pax underfetted. That seems reasonable if you want to, move the X now while you can. And that's a reasonable X play. So yeah, lots of different choices here. Nothing that screams.
Yeah, nothing that really stands out here. Yeah. Would you play Lanx, LANX, through the A of V theater?
That's also definitely worth considering. The PV is kind of a bad combination, but you still have Pav and Veil for next turn, so you'll be able to at least score decently while moving them.
Yep.
So that's another option.
Oh, nice.
Oxlip, yeah, that's with the rack with the PXV. If you can play 2 of them, then you've you at least only have one problem than the following rack. So yeah, Oxlip is solid. And a decent keep.
Oh well, look what he has drawn. Nice.
Yep, and he will not be staving off the scoring. That's. But let's see, what does Phil do with all these vowels? There was actually only 1 8 that this rack makes. The tile it makes it with is not on the board. And none of the nines are all through two consonants. So that's not going to be helpful here. So what do you do?
He could play Unite, but that's not worthwhile. I mean, there's only 15 points at the triple lane while destroying the rack.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of thing I'd like to do, the first idea is through that T in at L8, if you can play some sort of 5-letter word and hook under the K, you'll score decently.
Okay, he plays I2.
Don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there is anything through that. I don't think there's anything through that T though. You know, I2 balances. That's the best leave you're going to get out of that rack is EINS.
Yeah.
So there's value to just making the best play with the best leave. If everything's going to score pretty badly, take the best leave you can, and that's going to be pretty solid in terms of equity evaluation. And it looks like it's paid off.
It seems like there's no playable bingos.
Yeah, that's
However, he can play Vex and Ablations. That's quite a good score.
yeah, Vags or Vigs will be pretty reasonable. And that's...
Oh wow, he has gone for a small score there, only 15 points, and it's actually blocking up the board further. Yeah, Vix or Vex should have been the obvious move here, 44 points.
Yeah, with the Z and the J already out, it seems less likely that I2 is some sort of setup, because what are you setting up? And it's probably why Phil was comfortable making that play, putting the A in that position, because the J and the Z are already out, so there's not going to be some 60-point play coming back.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what's his concern here.
So it's probably too many points to give up. And okay, there's only one more mouse in the bag, but it's still a lot of points to cash the S in that position.
Okay, moving on, there's Ensias that fits nicely underneath Igneous for a 5 overlap.
Of course there is.
Incredible.
Oh yeah, and like we've said, a play like Vag, where Austin played it's certainly in his style. He's going to give up points for leave so that he can hit a big bingo next turn, and it worked out.
It worked out somehow.
This is why the scoring doesn't stop. Yeah, that works.
And now Phil has an easy score of Quaid. That's 42 points, yeah.
Yeah, Quate is seems pretty straightforward. I mean, yeah, take a bit of time just to make sure you're not missing anything else, but I think Quate is it. You don't want to play Quale through Oxlip. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah. But he can play Quelia for 37. Would that be a good option? It seems like he's considering Quate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you expect Austin to play a move like VAG? I don't think that's his playing style.
To play
to play VAG for a mere 15 points when he could have played VAG's Ablations.
I mean, the impression I get of his playing style is that he would, give up those points to keep a better leave, and he would give up those points to keep the S on a board where there's one S, place for an S-ending bingo. His chances of bingoing after VAGs are going to be a lot less. It scores a bunch, but it kind of weirds the board.
Interesting consideration.
You're basically taking a half a bingo score now instead of, giving up those points to try for a bingo score later. And Austin seems like the kind of player who would, everything else being equal, would definitely want to go for the bingo score later.
Yeah.
So now Austin's on turn now, and he has this
this rather strange rack, clunky rack with what BFHW. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be options to score.
One option is to play hub. Yeah. Keeping a FAW for 4 at row 3 later.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, it seems like a rack like Austin has is actually going to be a pretty good rack. You have lots of stuff that's going to score. The pool is kind of dismal, so yeah, playing hub, saving the FW for later. That's a fine play, and yeah, it sets that you hold the A in case you draw into something that you can play in C column. You have the spot for you have the spot for it later. This all seems to work. And there is one more mouse out, so that's going to be a pretty critical draw for the L1 spot. Whoever gets it.
Which spot is that?
Oh, the making ablations.
Ablations. I see.
So Phil does have the Y. That's going to be a useful scoring tile here.
I hope he's not trying to balance for bingo rack here, because there doesn't seem to be much space for bingo.
Yeah, I think I think if there's a bingo, it's going to be some weird miracle play that happens to hook I2, making the S there. Pretty much from here on out, it's just going to be how can you draw tiles that score and use them to make small plays that score well. I think it feels like that's where it is from here on out. It seems like the bingoing is done for this game.
Yeah.
Just mainly based on the shape of the board. And even if it does get dire for one player and they try to open up some sort of long shot bingo lay-in in column N or O, it's just going to get shut down. So it seems unlikely that that'll come into play here.
Okay, so the game seems to be neck and neck now. Yeah, the scores
Phil
are
has
really
the tempo
close.
lead. It's when you're behind the tempo, you kind of know what to expect from the rest of the game. Like you need to find ways to score and catch up, and maybe you can go out first and end up winning the game, and all these things. When you're ahead of tempo, obviously it's a better place to be, but it's also really nerve-wracking because your opponent is going to be trying to come up with creative things that you don't see. It's always on you to try, as the person ahead, you need to anticipate what your opponent's going to do so you can block it beforehand. And there's always that nagging feeling that you're missing something obvious that's going to cost you the game. So
Yeah.
at this point, Phil is it's a nerve-wracking place to be, where you feel like you have a pretty solid advantage up a tempo on a closed board, but you're just sort of waiting to see what can go wrong.
And just to take note here, there's only 6, from Austin's perspective, there's only 6 vowels out of 22 unseen. Yeah, so it is going to be a consonant-heavy rack. So he might not want to play words like FAW and might want to consider kum instead. That will be at B3. Sorry, only 4 vowels.
Yeah.
4 vowels out of 15, yeah.
Yeah, playing more.
Oh, he has missed Wamefo along row 2.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh wow.
Wamafu was definitely the thing to do there. Wow.
That would have changed the game.
Yeah. That's disappointing. That would have been a huge play. And moved a bunch of stuff. That's sad. Still, I mean, Austin still isn't in a terrible position, even having missed Wamafu. He's got vowels. He's got some scoring tiles. The M's are going to be really great in this position just because they're so flexible. So,
seems like he's fishing for the last S.
Yep.
Oh, well, he didn't have to do that. I mean, he can always play Jian at 13B. Yeah.
Yeah, he's also setting up his E for purse, in the hopes of putting something. And yeah, Phil's drawn the S, but not any vowels, as the vowels are quite rare.
Yeah, all with Austin.
Yeah, or all sitting on Austin's rack. So it's going to be a challenge. The other thing that perk does is it obscures the L1 spot. So it makes it a bit less likely that something large is going to come down. It has to play through the R in order to, but then he's drawn the S himself, and so
What? Did he just play 2 tiles and empty the bag? Has he?
yeah, that's
Wow. Wow, that is quite unexpected. I mean, there's a real danger that Phil has a bingo here.
even not having a bingo, emptying the bag on the number makes it that Phil will go out first. Like if he can find it out in 2, he's in decent shape, I guess. This is actually going to be a really interesting endgame because Phil, if he finds it out in 2, it's going to be something like, say, he plays Ding through that I in Vitiators, saving RENS. And his out in 2 isn't going to score very much because he only has the 1 vowel, right?
Yeah.
And then even with
we have to try to find something that scores well without trading the vowels.
Right. So Ding sets up Rens in 2 spots that's not going to be block. And not Ding. Ding probably won't work because Dingo is a word.
Jin, Jinn.
So okay. So yeah, Jin keeping reds. Except Jin doesn't take Ginn doesn't take an S.
That's unfortunate.
So yeah, so that doesn't quite work. Ring maybe. Yeah, ring will work because then it sets up dens, and send and sma up in the top. So that'll give you an out in 2.
But are we sure that the Austin cannot score?
It may not. That may not win because Austin has vowels in the C and the M and stuff to score. So let's see. Phil is up 12. Ring 1, 2, 3 scores 6, puts him up 18. And then what's Austin's best play? Play Cam, Cobb, and add. That's 27.
Which move is that?
If he plays Cam at B13, that loses because it only puts him up by 9, I think, and he has 8 points on his rack for Phil.
How about Cram at N1? Cram, keeping OAR for Arco or Orca?
Cram at N.
It's quite safe here because Phil can't block it effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, Cram and Purse.
I'm thinking actually Austin can work out a win here, quite likely.
Actually, Rome plays at 1A, making oof, and Ama. That's 38.
Oh wow, 38. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, but it all depends on what Phil plays right now. Yeah.
So okay, we've got the Quackle sim up on the screen. The sequence with ring does lose because there's you know, too much. There are sequences Phil has that win. And they end up being basically a similar concept. You set up your out in 2, you just need to score a bit more. So.
Okay. Phil has probably spotted Rome and is blocking it right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that you want to do. There might be enough other options on the board. Like if he plays Eds, he doesn't have an outplay, so like that's actually not going to win, because if Austin goes out first, he wins basically. I think an out in 2 here is imperative. You probably need to find an out in 2 that outruns Rome.
Can he play Nerds? Nerds at N2? Keeping NG?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nerds
that actually
should work.
Yep. Yeah, that scores 25. He's up 12 now, so that puts him up 37, and Rome will put him down by 1, and then any outplay with NG will win. So you have, Jian or something that'll, or
Jian or Gan.
Yeah. Yeah, all those things will win. So yeah, playing Nerds will outrun Rome. And yeah, you have to you can't block it and go out in 2. You have to outrun it.
Well, I mean, if he can play Rome, he can play Roma. Yeah. But there's a chance he'll get C stuck. If he can play Rome, he can play Roma as well. But there's a chance he'll get C stuck.
Yep.
No, I see 2 spots already. There's Cobb and Hick. Yeah, so Roma works. Yeah. That would be 44 points.
Okay. So yeah, Romer. So after Nerds, he fills up 37. And Romer's 44. But yeah, and Jian still wins by a couple. Because you're up 7, but Phil's getting 6 off the rack.
Yeah.
Plus the outplay, so it wins by a couple points. But there's very little room for error here, and looking at the Quackle analysis, I think all of the winning plays are pretty similar in concept.
What has he done here?
Wow. So that leaves him Gurn to go out, but is that the only out? Like.
Oh wow! Yes, the game has like.
Whoa! And that went immediately. Tam goes down immediately to block and set up an unblockable corer. Oh wow!
Wow! It goes
to
show how one
yeah,
just changed the game.
Wow! And yeah, and Austin plays it immediately to not give Phil time to think about the position. Oh my goodness, that's clever. That's clever. And
impressive.
Austin. Yeah, I mean, Austin was clearly had seen the possibility of playing Tam. If Phil played off his E, then Austin was going to play Tam to set up a big out. And the other thing with playing Nerds is that it blocks Corer and Cror, so that this TAM setup can't happen. Wow.
Wow. Wow. He has just won it all of a sudden.
That's a theft. That's a stolen game by Austin that, Phil, difficult. It's so difficult when you're in a position where there's a huge play up in the corner like that, that you don't necessarily see the possibility of Tam and Cror coming down on the other part of the board, because you're so much concentrating up on the big threat up in the corner.
And this also goes to show the importance of out into.
Yeah. I mean, any unblockable out in 2. Not anyone, but an out in 2 that scores enough was the key here.
Yes, all he had to do was make sure there were 2 spots, but he only prepared 1.
Yep. He didn't see a way to block Rome and Romer and keep multiple out in 2 spots, but the trick to this endgame was outrunning Romer and not blocking it.
Sand was pretty surprising, especially when he was in the lead. He threw it away. Yeah, he just had to play nuts.
So, yeah, that's a heartbreaker for Phil. Really difficult loss to have that tempo going into the end game and to lose in this fashion. And when he finds that he's got that he had a win, and that send was the losing play, that's really difficult. And good on Austin to pull out a game. To win any big event, any major championship, you're going to need a few gifts from your opponents. You're going to need more. You're going to need your opponents to give you more games than you give away. And Austin has one in his gift box after this.
Well, it was really good planning on his part too. Yeah, to be able to spot Tam, that is possibly the best setup you could have on this rack.
Yeah, Tam was a really good play, and Austin had obviously seen the possibility, thinking that if Phil blocked Romer, it would almost certainly be using his E, and then he had Tam and Cror back as an unblockable outplay. So that was definitely really great on Austin's part to see that sequence.
I think Jessica's telling him about the rack right now. He just had to play nerds. Yeah, I hear that in the background.
Yep. They're discussing the end game with the players, and analyzing the final sequences. And just because indicating that Phil wasn't sure of purse, and that hook was the key to the end game. Like, I don't think there were any winning sequences that didn't use that either as the first play or as the outplay after something like GNU's keeping Rend. So. Yeah, so that's disappointing finish.
Yeah.
Phil. It's difficult. There's all these words and there's all these hooks, and it's always so random what one ends up being the critical play in the game.
Yeah.
You know, you can have 95% of the fives like right there at your disposal, but if the perk to purse isn't there, that's all the rest of them are for naught. And it's perk is a new word. It was added in 2015.
Exactly.
So it may be that thinking even if purse is a 5, like knowing it as a hook to a 4, that's new. So yeah, it can be difficult to rearrange all those additions to the list in your brain.
And
So hey guys, mic's on.
hi. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the end game. The mic wasn't live to the stream, so so you guys couldn't hear what I was saying.
I mean,
yeah.
we could hear, but the viewers at home couldn't hear, and we
Yeah.
were we were just saying it sounds like Phil didn't know or didn't see purse,
Didn't know.
which is difficult because that was I think all of the winning endgame sequences
Yeah.
used that hook.
Yeah. So even after something like even after playing News or Snug, you still have to know that hook. And then I suppose And as well would rely on, well, And is kind of interesting because it sets up Grens down the side. I'm not sure whether
Right.
I'm not sure whether it
But
yeah, so I guess it's not
Yeah.
blockable.
And
it-
it's actually another winning move.
Yeah,
Right.
This sequence of And may have been the best move in the sense that, Austin would have had to block this hook with something a bit pointless. And then he probably still wouldn't be able to win.
right,
Maybe.
you have to see purse and Grens up top.
Yeah,
Well,
he will have
I
to
don't
spot.
think Person Grens is super important, but I don't know how the game finishes after And.
After he plays N, Austin can block with Term, keeping Arco.
With what?
Term.
Term.
You can play term.
Oh, Term, okay.
Yeah, you can block above.
Yeah.
And then Austin keeps an out, and you have to hit Grens and purse to go out and win.
But then at that point, you would try it, wouldn't you?
Hopefully.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
also being low on time stopped the possibility to see this setup here for the triple. And especially
Yeah.
after burning both the S and your only vowel, that allowed it to happen.
Yes, it was extremely
Right.
deadly.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, pretty much any play that blocked Roamer that Phil made was going to definitely use the E, probably use the S. And so, yeah, it seemed like Austin sort of anticipated the ways in which Roamer would be blocked, and then came up with Tam as a setup if Phil used his E and his S to block. But
Yeah.
the key was to just let Austin play Roamer and outrun it by going out into 2. But you have
did
to,
have to know
yeah,
purse.
you have to know
Yeah.
the spot.
Yeah. But I've always said lots of things end up taking E's. So I just feel like lots of things just take E's on the end and you don't really expect them to.
Another word that's good to know, Slicky does not take an S.
I think I knew that. Amazingly. But yeah, the whole endgame just hinged on knowing one hook. Which also shows the importance of knowing your hooks.
Which
Yeah.
also shows you should study your the new editions.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Perk is new, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say we were saying down the stretch, when there were still about 6 tiles in the bag, that the position Phil was in up a tempo, it's a really nerve-wracking one to be in, because you're basically playing defense. You're trying to figure out what's the worst thing that can happen, and trying to see all the possibilities of your worst case scenarios and trying desperately to block them all. Whereas yeah, if you're behind a tempo like Austin is, you're a lot less likely to win. But at least from a psychological standpoint, it's a bit easier, because you need to be creative and create opportunities, and you're kind of the one on taking the initiative rather than sort of trying to defend against the initiative. And yeah, as it turns out, like the one thing you don't know, or the one thing you don't see from Phil's position, it ends up killing you.
Yeah, so I think it just goes to show, even when you're up, it pays off not to be overly defensive. Yeah, you just continue scoring, but in this case, he did not spot purse. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Perk itself was kind of a weird play. We weren't really expecting it, and then when it went down, we're like, okay, he has a decent lead. He's holding an E to hook it. We figured the S was out at the time, so he was trying to block, something like cams and ablations from going down. There was heavy stuff out that could hurt there.
Yeah, so actually Perk turned out to be a good move at first, because it blocked that lane ablations. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it became an interesting. But
Harshan wins by 1.
Whoa.
Harshan beat Lewis by 1.
Yep.
That's tight.
Wow. So this puts Austin on 11.5. Harshan is on 11. Lewis will be on 10, and Phil will be on 10. So Lewis and Phil are both Lewis and Phil, David Webb. They're all a game and a half back. Yeah, they're a game and a half back with 2 to play. So Austin is going to have to absolutely collapse for one of them to have any shot at winning. It's probably just I don't know how the pairings are going to shake out, but it seems like it's between realistically between Austin and Harshan for the championship.